What's up, everybody? It's Clark here for the BOS Sports Podcast. Reeling after the Atlanta Hawks suffer their 8th straight loss in a row tonight in Indiana and Indianapolis to the Pacers, 132-127. The Atlanta Hawks are now 22-27 after 49 games and 9th in the Eastern Conference. Fortunately for us Atlanta Hawks fans, Trae Young gave us something to smile about as he had a monstrous double-double again tonight with 34 points, 17 assists. Coming in tonight, he was only guard the top 10 in double-doubles. 8th in double-doubles with Trae Young coming into tonight. He shot 11 for 26 today from the field, 42.3% as well, 5 for 15 from beyond the arc, including a clutch three-point shot there in the final minutes. We'll get to that in a little bit. He's well had 2 steals and 3 rebounds. Nice day for Trae Young. Dyson Daniels, he had 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 8 for 15 shooting from the field. He had the game high there with 23 points, and as well, nice day shooting from the free throw line for Dyson Daniels, 5 for 6. Zachary Rizichet, he had 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 for 11 shooting from the field, 54.5%, 3 for 5 shooting from three-point land. Zachary Rizichet, in his last 2 games combined, he's had 47 points. As well, he shot 17 for 25 from the field and 8 for 11 from three-point land. 73% shooting from beyond the arc for Zachary Rizichet. Last 2 games. Onyeka Okongwu, 11 points, 10 rebounds. And of course, the big news since Wednesday's episode is the All-Star snub to Trae Young. He absolutely deserved to be in the game. He absolutely deserved to be selected. He's a generational talent. We'll discuss more about that later in this episode. Of course, he followed up Thursday night's snub with tonight's monstrous double-double, 34 points, 15 assists. So it was the Pacers night tonight as they had 7 Pacers in double digits. An all-round scoring effort there for the Indiana Pacers as they're getting their season back on track. Pascal Siakam had 20 points, 50% shooting from the field, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Tyrese Halliburton, 17 points, 9 assists. And Nembhard, he had 19 points, 5 assists. Obi Toppin, he had 18 points off the bench for the Indiana Pacers, shooting 8 for 11 from the field, good for 72.7%. The Pacers are 10-2 in their last 12 coming into tonight, and I guess in their last 13, 11-2, as 10-2 was reported by Bob Rathburn here in this Atlanta Hawks game. So we're going to recap here this very disappointing, very tough loss for the Hawks. A lot of positives for the Hawks. They seem to have found an offensive identity in this game. We definitely would have liked to see them come out with the win. Of course, they really struggled on defense there in that first quarter, and maybe were a little bit disorganized as they're still reeling, trying to figure out lineups. Defensive switches there with Jalen Johnson out for the year. The big news Wednesday, devastating blow for Atlanta Hawks. Left shoulder surgery, same that Ja Morant had, and so on his right shoulder, that's for Ja. And we saw Ja sit Thursday night, although he's come back fairly strong this year and had a nice year so far. So to get to this Pacers and Hawks game, the game started off with a Dyson Daniels dunk from Onyeka Okongwu. He had a decent day passing, OO did, with a nice 3 assists. Half a minute later, Don Barlow had a jumper as the Hawks were off to a quick 4-0 lead there in the first quarter. Tyrese Halliburton answers the other end, 4-2, as the Pacers get on the board there. That'd be the first 2. Tyrese's 17 points on the day. He as well had 9 assists. 5 for 12 shooting from the field for Tyrese Halliburton today, 41.7%. So he had a nice day there for the Pacers. Trae Young, he had a jumper. Dyson Daniels, he had a 3 there after the Mathurin alley-oop dunk from Tyrese Halliburton, tying the game 4-4. Seconds earlier that. Dyson had a 3 at the 9-minute, 17-second mark. That was Trae's second assist of the game. The Hawks are already up 9-4. As early in the game, the Hawks, they had a nice lead there. But here comes the Pacers as Mathurin, he came on the other end and had a finger roll there for the Pacers. the start of a 10-0 Pacers run there at the 8-minute 33-second mark of the first quarter. Nembhard had a bucket nearly half a minute later at the 8-minute 5 seconds later. Half a minute later, another Nembhard bucket, as he was absolutely on fire there for a few seconds there in the first quarter. The 7:28-second mark of the first quarter, 9-11. Pacers take the lead. Tyrese Halliburton, he had a three at the 6-minute 54-second mark. And the Hawks, they just could not score, as they were struggling to score as well, struggling to hold the Indiana Pacers, keeping them from scoring. And Trae, he got an early rest there in that first quarter. He's still reported dealing with the hamstring tightness. It's probable, listed on the injury report yesterday, and I believe he's still dealing with Achilles tendonitis. I believe they said announced that whenever they announced that back in November that would be a season-long thing. So Aaron Nesmith, he had a three-point shot there at the 5-minute 41-second mark. Tyrese Halliburton's third assist, 21-14 Pacers at that point. Miles Turner, he had an and one at the 5-minute 31-second mark and hit the free throw there for the Pacers, 22-14 there in the first quarter. Tyrese Halliburton, he hit a three, putting the Pacers in their first double-digit lead, 25-14 there in the first quarter. Zachary Rizachet, he had a free throw at the 4-minute 40-second mark and floater seconds later. Trading baskets there with the Pacers as the Hawks were still down by 11, 28-17. Trae Young, he returned at the 3-minute and 33-second mark. And we had a couple of odd continuation plays where Trae was not awarded continuation there in the first quarter. The first of which happened at the 3-minute 23-second mark, shortly after Trae Young entered the game. And he was fouled on a three attempt, but it was not called a shot. And it happened again a few seconds later at 3-minute 19-second mark. So 4 seconds, 2 missed calls there by the referees. Later in the game, they would call a jump ball out of bounds. Someone touches the ball before it goes out of bounds. You don't just call a jump ball. I'm not sure if how many. I think I might have seen that once. I don't think I've ever seen that. So, anyways, Keaton Wallace, he had a bucket at 3-minute 5-second mark of Trae Young's third assist. But here comes Shepard back at the other end. Ben Shepard, he hits a three at 2-minute 26 mark. Trae Young, he got a layup on the other end as he brought the Hawks back within 10, 31-21. Pacers lead at that point late in the first quarter. Obi Toppin, he had a 3-point shot as he was only 1 for 3 on the day. It would be his only 3-point shot of the day. He'd only attempt 3. The other 2 3-point shots that he attempted were the only other shots they missed for him the entire game. So it was 34-21 Pacers at that point. Obi Toppin, the 1-minute 14-second mark, he got on the offensive board over Larry Nance Jr. and gets the score, putting the Pacers up by 15 there. Hawks call timeout late in the first quarter. Things were not looking good. DeAndre Hunter, he got to the free throw line there, the 1-minute and 7-second mark. It was a very odd play there by McConnell there. TJ McConnell fouling DeAndre Hunter in the break. It seemed like kind of a dangerous foul. Unnecessary, of course. DeAndre Hunter, he went to the free throw line, making both. Aaron Nesmith for the Pacers brings them back, makes a layup, 38-22. Pacers up by 16 with just under a minute to go in the first quarter. 42-second mark. Trae dishes to Larry Nance for Trae Young's 4th assist already there with 42 seconds left to go in the first quarter. 25 seconds left. Nembhard had another jumper. His 6 points there early for Nembhard there. And with 7 seconds left, Larry Nance Jr., he got tackled there, and there's no call. He was obviously fouled. Another missed call by the officials there in this game. So, Pacers up by 14 after first quarter. I don't know. The Hawks were playing bad defense. I guess the officials said they're playing bad defense. I guess we can't award them any fouls. All right. So it was defense aforementioned was pretty rough for the Hawks. As 58.3 to 45 Pacers to Atlanta Hawks. Field goal percentages there in the first quarter. And the Hawks were being outshot by a little bit over 13% from the field in the first quarter. That's not good. And to make things worse, they were being outshot 50 to 25% from three-point land. As the Pacers had 7 3-point made shots there in the first quarter, they went 7 for 14 from beyond the arc in the first quarter. Well, they out-rebounded the Hawks 13-9. And as well, they won the turnover margin. Oh, did they? Huh. I have it written down 5-3. I might have that reversed. I'll have to go back and look. I posted that online, so I'll have to go back and look at my post on X. Go back and check that out. It was posted sometime around the end of the first quarter. I put the correct turnover stats. I'm not sure if it's 5-3 Hawks, Pacers. 5-3 Pacers, Hawks. If it's 5-3 Pacers, Hawks, and Pacers, they lost the turnover battle there. So early in the second quarter, Obi Toppin opens up that second quarter with a basket, 42-24 Pacers. An 18-point lead. I believe that was the largest margin of the game. Matthews, he got 5 points after that. He went to free throw line, being fouled on 3-point attempt. Made 2 out of 3 there at 11-minute 26-second mark. And 10-minute 55-second mark, he made 3-point shot. 42-29, Hawks rolling back, down by 13, the Pacers there in the second quarter. From there, the Hawks went on a 35-26 run. The rest of the second quarter, including a 10-0 spurt there that went into around the 1-minute mark. First quarter, Pete Krejci, he had a 3 there. How many threes did Pete have on the day? He had 1. That would be his only 3 there at the 9-minute 44-second mark. Off of Trae Young, 6 assists. Bringing the Pacers lead, bring back to 14. 46-32 Pacers. 9-minute 11-second mark, Garrison Matthews hit a 3-point shot, another one. As Garrison Matthews had 14 second quarter points. All of Garrison Matthews, 14 points on the day, came there in that second quarter. Clutch having streaky shooting, hot shooting coming out the bench to provide a lift, such as Garrison Matthews did in that second quarter. And that was Trae Young's 7th assist, already right there, 48-35. But then here comes Obi Toppin and Nembhard for the Pacers, getting paint buckets in between, trading baskets. 8-minute 50-second mark, Trae Young, he had a finger roll. 8-minute 22-second mark, Larry Nance Jr. had a dunk. 51-39, Pacers up by 12. 7-minute 45-second mark, Trae Young hits Don Barlow on a cut for a dunk. 51-41 on Trae's 8th assist. At the 7-minute 3-second mark, Don Barlow, he had a jumper. And then Dyson Daniels, he had 3 straight scores as I believe Trae was out during that period. The offense was a little bit slow for the Hawks there in that middle period of the second quarter. But here in the final minutes, second quarter, things picked up a bit as Garrison Matthews, he was fouled by Pascal Siakam, and it was reviewed and deemed a flagrant landing pad foul. At the 2-minute 45-second mark, as Garrison Matthews, he made all 3 free throws, bring the Hawks within single digits, 63-55, Pacers up by 8. DeAndre Hunter at the 2-minute 16-second mark off Trae Young's 8th assist, got a jump shot. And with 49 seconds left in the quarter, Onyeka Okongwu in the lane for a dunk, Trae Young's 10th assist. Trae Young, he hits free throws there with the 15-second mark, bring the Hawks within a few points. But Nembhard, he answers on the other end with 4 seconds left for the Pacers, his 12th point of the day, putting the Pacers up 68-64. As prior to that, when Trae hit his free throws, Hawks rolling down to 66-64. That would have felt maybe a little bit different, being down 2 as opposed to 4 at halftime, nearly even. So Trae Young, he had 6 second quarter assists. In the first half, the Atlanta Hawks were down to the Pacers 68-64. The Hawks outscored the Pacers there in the second quarter 40-28. Trae Young at the half, he had 8 points, 10 assists. As he looked for his scoring a little bit more in that second half, he probably could have had a 20 assists, 30-point double-double if he wanted to. But he put the team on his back, changing and altering in the score, being somewhat like a chameleon, fitting into the situation there for the Atlanta Hawks. Looking for a shot there in the second half. Dyson Daniels, he had 15 points in the first half. game high to that point. Game high of the day is Dyson Daniels, as he's continuing to develop nicely with his offensive game, looking very nice with decision making. We certainly, an episode over the weekend, on Monday, looked a little bit into Dyson Daniels' decision making, and with some game clips from the game I went to last Saturday. See how long this episode runs. We might re-air that clip here if we need some fill out time. So Don Barlow at the Garrison Matthews at halftime, he had 14 points. Aforementioned, they all came there in that second quarter. 3 for 4 shooting from three-point land and 5 or 6 from free throw line. Both had 3 rebounds. Nice effort there. Onyeka Okongwu, 4 points, 4 rebounds. A little bit light for Onyeka in that first half. Larry Nance Jr. as well, a little bit light there. 4 points, 2 rebounds. They both shot 2 for 3 from field, both Onyeka and Larry Nance. Don Barlow had a nice first half with 6 points, 3 for 5 shooting from field, 60%. We did not see Mohamed Gay there for the Atlanta Hawks there in the first half. They might be switching them back and forth between their G League games. I'll have to go and check on that. But it might be a good strategy mixing up the looks there. Don Barlow and Mo Gay for the Atlanta Hawks. You'd have to think the Pacers were probably game planning for Mo Gay to start there. Then all of a sudden, last minute, you get Don Barlow, and he brings a little bit of different skill sets. As you saw him a lot different kind of box out game there. And sticking around the rim, he airballed that 3. It's a little bit concerned. And of course, we've seen Mo Gay be lights out with his corner threes. So a little bit different game for Don Barlow there, but he had a nice first half, 3 for 5 field goal percentage. So switching up that look between Don Barlow and Mo Gay might help out a little bit, staying fluid between those two there at the starting 4 position or in rotation. So Andrew Nembhard there for the Pacers. He had the Pacers. He's tied with Tyrese Halliburton for Pacers high at the half with 12 points. 5 for 8 shooting from field for Andrew Nembhard. 57.1% from field. 1 for 3 from three-point land. Tyrese Maxey with his 12 points had 5 assists, halftime, 1 steal and 1 block. Miles Turner, he had 9 points. He was struggling a little bit on his shot. 3 for 7. 42.9%. 3 rebounds for Miles Turner in the first half. Obi Toppin, he had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 4 for 4 from shooting. And of course, we were talking about him in just Wednesday night's episode, as his brother JT Toppin is projected to be a top 20 pick in this year's NBA draft. Certainly a potential option for Atlanta Hawks, depending on what they do with their roster at the trade deadline. Be sure to stream episode 44 to hear thoughts on that topic. So continuing back in this game, the first half, Pacers were still out shooting the Hawks by then the first half, 54.2% to the Hawks, 47.9%. They're out rebounding them 27-25. Hawks narrowed that margin a bit, and it looks like I had the turnover margin correct there in the first quarter. It was 5-3 in the first quarter, and in the first half it was 7-6. Pacers were losing that by 1 narrowly. So as well from three-point land, the Pacers, they only made 1 3-point shot there in that second quarter. It was a key for the Atlanta Hawks outscoring the Pacers by 12 points there, 40-28 there in the second quarter. The Atlanta Hawks in the first half shot 6 for 20 from three-point land. Not good. Pacers 7 threes. First quarter, I already said that. So third quarter,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
The hell? Did not talk to my phone. Cool. So, then 11 minute, 3 second mark. Don Barlow, he got a layup off Trae Young's 11 assists. That started the third quarter. 68-66. Hawks. Hawks cut the deficit to 2 points. I think I have to pause here for station identification. This is the BOS Sports Podcast. back here to the third quarter. Tom Barlow gets the first score. Trae Young's 11th assist, 68-66. Hawks down by 2. Tom Barlow, he gets a putback seconds later off offensive rebound, 68-66, tying the game. And he got an and one on the play, but missed the free throw. Onyeka Okongwu, a minute later, he got an alley-oop on Trae Young's 12th assist, putting the Hawks up 70-68. Tyrese, he hits a three-point shot at the other end. But Trae Young answers right back in the 9-minute, 18-second mark. As the Hawks and Pacers bounce the lead back and forth, 71-68 Pacers, and now after Trae's 3 at 9-minute, 18-second mark, 73-71 Hawks over Pacers. And at the 8-minute, 45-second mark, Trae Young got his 13th point, putting the Hawks up by 4. And 8-minute and 24-second mark, Trae gets his 13th assist as he helps get the Hawks up 77-73. Line missing in that note. So the 7-minute, 59-second mark, Pascal Siakam, he got a post shot as he was really working there in that post there for the Indiana Pacers there in the second half. 77-75 Hawks. He cut the Pacers deficit to 2 with a little bit under 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Zachary Rizachet, he hit a 3 at the 7-minute, 45-second mark as he is absolutely cooking. Of course, we know he's 8 for 11 in his last 2 games. 72% from three-point land. He's absolutely cooking from three-point land. And that was characterized by a shot made at the 7-minute, 45-second mark off of Trae Young's 14th assist, putting the Hawks up by 5, 80-75 at that point. Trae Young, he had a corner 3 himself. He had a couple nice looking corner 3 shots, fadeaway corner 3 shots for taller defenders such as Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam. Putting the Hawks up 83-77 at that point. And then here comes Pascal Siakam on the other end, aforementioned. Working there in the paint. He gets and 1, 6-minute, 36-second mark and makes the free throw, 83-80. Trae Young, he draws a foul on the other end, hits all 3 free throws as he had a perfect 7 for 7 day from the free throw line. Always an excellent free throw shooter is Trae Young. Pascal Siakam, already said that. DeAndre Hunter, he got driving play and gets a jump ball at the 5-minute, 16-second mark. Hustle play by DeAndre Hunter, diving on the ground, going for that loose ball. But the Pacers got a tip, and Nesmith, he got fouled on the break by Keaton Wallace. Pacers, they had 7 straight points there from that point. As Obi Toppin, he had a lay-in and 1. Taking the free throw, putting the Pacers up 88-86 over the Hawks. Dyson Daniels, he had a layup at the 4-minute, 22-second mark. There, tied the game. After Toppin, he put the Pacers back in the lead, 88-86. Dyson Daniels comes right back, ties the game off a nice ISO drive. Left-handed, high off the glass, over Miles Turner, very impressive play. So Dyson Daniels, he draw a foul. 3-minute, 22-second mark as a little bit of the Dyson Daniels show again here late in the second quarter. And he makes both free throws, clutch free throws with Dyson Daniels with a little bit over 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. 90-88 Hawks. Obi Toppin missed a 3 on the other end. But seconds later, he had a putback later off a layup off a Tyrese Halliburton 3. More second chance opportunities, points for the Pacers. Toppin's 4th point, 7th rebound, and his 2nd offensive rebound on that putback play. Hawks come back, call timeout shortly after at the 2-minute, 12-second mark. Coming out of that timeout, Larry Nance Jr. had a turnover. T.J. McConnell got a bucket off of that. Obi Toppin, he got a bucket shortly after. 94-90 Pacers. And as well, that was an and 1 over Garrison Matthews. Pete Krejci at the 1-minute, 36-second mark. He drew a foul. Hits both free throws. Bring the Hawks back within 2. 94-92 Pacers. Bryant for the Pacers on the other end. Gets a 3. 97-92 Pacers. As he would go 1 for 2 on the day from three-point land. With 47.5 seconds left, DeAndre Hunter, he got fouled off the offensive rebound and makes both his free throws again. 97-94 Pacers up by 3. Obi Toppin, he scored again. Trae Young, he got finger roll with 1 second left. 99-95, end of the third quarter. Both teams scored the exact same amount of points in the third quarter. Third quarter was canceled out. So the fourth quarter opened with Trae Young's 23rd point. Nice floater. Cutting the Hawks deficit to 2 points. Zachary Vizichet, he had a nice quarter three, a well-contested three. Trae Young's 15th assist there. In 10-minute, 49-second mark, Vizichet had a putback for Trae Young. Missed three-point attempt, putting the Hawks back in the lead, 102-101. Vizichet's 11th point as well. That would be, he would have 4 offensive rebounds today. Zachary Vizichet, he's everywhere on that offensive glass today. Nice development to see that aspect in his game for Zachary Vizichet. He'll always be there in the bag, pounding the offensive glass. So Benedict Mathurin there for the Pacers. A 10-minute, 32-second mark, he had drive and one layup over Larry Nance Jr. and made the free throw. So both Larry Nance Jr. and Onyeka Okongwu, they combined for exactly 48 minutes as Onyeka played 29.13, Larry Nance played 18.47, 18 minutes and 47 seconds. Felt like we felt a little bit thin there at that center position. Of course, Clint Capella is out with back spasms. He's reported not to be on this road trip. Rumored and potential trade packages. We covered all that last episode in episode 44. If you're interested in that content, check out BOS Sports Podcast, episode 44. We covered the entire Hawks trade deadline potentials. So at the 10-minute and 5-second mark, Bryant had a bucket, putting the Pacers back in the lead, 106-104, after Benedict Mathurin had the and one drive layup over Larry Nance Jr. Aforementioned, we felt a little bit thin there at that center position there in this game. So Zachary Vizichet at the 9-minute, 51-second mark, he had a 3-point shot. Trae Young's 16th assist, Vizichet's 14th assist, putting the Hawks back in the lead, 106-105. Trae Young, he was called for a double dribble. About a minute later, turnover. As the Atlanta Hawks would go on to have 12 turnovers. That'd be one more than the Indiana Pacers. There's a few things that could have made the difference in today's game. The Hawks missed 9 free throws. You make half of those. Half of 9? No, that does not quite win the game. 4.5 points. Well, you can't get half a point anyways. Well, if you take the over on that, round up, that's 5 points. If the Hawks make half the free throws they made and you round up, then the game would be at least tied. So make 6 more of those free throws, then you won the game. One less turnover. The Hawks flipped the script on the offensive rebounding stat from the first quarter. They wound up with 11 compared to the Pacers 7, but of course the Pacers, they as well outshot the Atlanta Hawks, 54.4% from field compared to the Hawks 50. So field goal percentage, free throw, and one less turnover on the Pacers. One more turn. So Benedict Mathurin, he got a bucket there at the 8-minute, 14-second mark for the Pacers, putting them up by 108-107. Vizichet, he found Onyeka Okongwu in the lane, 109-108 Hawks there at the 7-minute, 56-second mark there, the fourth quarter. The Hawks would really make a nice run at this fourth quarter. Is nice execution down the stretch. There's a few turnovers there, such as around the 1-minute mark. So back up to the 7-minute mark here. In the fourth quarter, Pacers got their 14th foul off Keaton Wallace play. Pacers, with 7 minutes to go in that fourth quarter, were already in the bonus. And they got a bucket, extending their lead 112 to 109. Dyson Daniels on the other end, he had the answer with the lay-in. Nice drive, 112, 111 Pacers. Dyson, a 6-minute mark, as he was the game-high scorer. Of course, he had a lay-in. 113, 112. Hawks get the back lead. Hawks get the lead back with 6 minutes and 7 seconds left. 5-minute, 37-second mark. Onyeka Okongwu, he is fouled by Tyrese Halliburton, but he missed both free throws. I believe that was the trip where he did. The 5-minute, 33-second mark, Dyson Daniels, as Onyeka, he went 0 for 2 from free throws today. So Dyson Daniels, he had a turnover at the 5-minute, 33-second mark. Dyson, he did have 3 turnovers today. Trae Young, he had 5 turnovers today. A little bit too many turnovers from our starting front court. Compared to the Pacers, they had 4. So, I'd like to cut that down a little bit. They certainly both had very low turnover games. Not a regular occurrence. Sometimes pops up. That broadcast on TNT, they said it was a recurring problem. A little bit. Depends on how much you follow the Hawks. If you follow the Hawks very casually, you might think that turnovers are a continued story. They'll have some very nice games with low turnovers. As Trae Young, he only had 1 turnover in that first half, 10-1, as he was relied on a little bit more in the second half, do a little bit more. With Garrison Matthews going off, wasn't quite Gary's season in the second half. So, back to this fourth quarter. Pascal Siakam, as he's cooking that lane, 5-minute, 17-second mark. Aforementioned, as always, cooking the lane. Puts the Pacers back in the lead, 114-113. Hawks took a timeout there. Trae Young, he got 3 off a loose ball play. Some second chance points for Atlanta Hawks, putting them back up by 2, 116-114. Nembhard scores on the other end with answer, 116. Trae Young, 31-foot, 3-point shot there. Other end, 119-116 Hawks, but Nembhard answers right back with an and one. As aforementioned, he felt a little bit thin on the front court, and I believe that foul there was on a front court player with the and one and Nembhard there. Pascal Siakam, he had a 3 as he cooked a little bit from outside of the paint as well. He, of course, is noted to have that range from 3-point. And the Pacers had really good ball movement in this game. Atlanta Hawks, of course, with these rotations, a little bit more new to them. I believe Reza Shea was closing with that rotation there. So Pascal Siakam, he was a little bit more wide open than we'd like him to be. As the Hawks were maybe a little bit disorganized on that play. I'd like to go back and look at that and check it out. Felt like at times the Hawks were disorganized on defense, especially in the first quarter. A little bit different look with Don Barlow starting game. So Neesmith, he had a corner at the 2-minute, 53-second mark. 125, 119, putting the Pacers up by 6 points. Trae Young, he was fouled on the other end, and they finally called one on Reza Shea. At the 2-minute, 33-second mark, Trae Young, he was fouled, but there's no call by the referee. He's absolutely ransacked, and he passed the ball to Reza Shea. He was partially tackled along the baseline. They knocked him down to the ground there on that wooden floor. He went to the free throw line, making 1-2. As the Pacers were up by 5 that point. A very odd officiating, as mentioned earlier in this episode, and that was another odd occurrence there. As they're certainly letting the Indiana Pacers be a lot more physical with the Atlanta Hawks. Opposed the other way around. The Nembhard, he had a blocking foul at the 2-minute, 7-second mark. Trae goes to the line, makes both free throws, putting the Pacers lead to 3 points. Pascal Siakam, he had a post score, as mentioned earlier. He was really working that paint. 1-minute and 42nd mark. And that's where things started to fall apart a little bit for the Hawks. They had 2 straight turnovers there in the last 90 seconds between the 1-minute and 1-minute 30-second mark to 1-minute mark. And Trae, he drove the ball The second turnover was just a half second away from being a Ricochet 3, as got a 24-second shot violation. Trae Young had a nice drive in the lane, but maybe should have had a quicker decision made there, or more of a plan. Clear intention to either shoot or pass the ball. It seemed like it was a little bit in between on that play. And what resulted was a pass back out to Ricochet, and that was partially deflected. Ricochet got back and had a nice move to get open for a 3, but buzzer sounded with less than half a second between the buzzer sounding and ball leaving Ricochet's hand. They reviewed that play to make sure it was a 24-second shot violation. Shades of the Derek Fisher 0.4-second shot from 20 years ago. So maybe not. I guess everything reminds me of that. Remembering the Spurs from back then. Tony Parker. All right, so back to this game. That was about the end of the game. In the 38-second mark, Tim Hart dropped the ball out of bounds, and the official called a jump ball. That was the aforementioned play. Hawks challenge play, of course, challenge successful, as the ball has to go off of somebody to go out of bounds. Usually, if you put the ball on the court, it's not going to go out of bounds without touching somebody or something. It's going to stay on the court. So at the 26.5-second mark, Trae Young, he hit a 3. Absolute clutch play, clutch 3 by Trae Young. Dyson Daniels, he fouled Tyrese Halliburton on a steal attempt. He made both free throws. Onyeka Okongwu, he had a dunk in the 14-second mark with Trae's 17th assist. But Neesmith, he was fouled 12 seconds and made both, putting the Pacers back up by 4, 131 to 124. The Hawks were just looking for the Pacers to miss a free throw. Trae Young, he got a nice look, a decent look at a 33-foot jump shot out of timeout. And that was in the game. Ben Shepherd's foul makes 1 out of 2. 132 to 127. So it was tough times in the near term for Atlanta Hawks fans as they figure out what they're going to do with it at the trade deadline, as well with the rotations, with defensive rotations and offensive game planning, with this new look rotation for Atlanta Hawks, which is going to feature Don Barlow, Mo Gay, and others here. So before we get into Trae Young and what makes him so great and why he should have been an all-star for this 2025 All-Star game in San Francisco, and why it's an egregious snub, all that's coming up here after the station identification. This is the BOS Sports Podcast. So the coaches failed Thursday to select one of the NBA's top 24 talents and Trae Young to the All-Star game. They failed to name him to All-Star reserves. And we're seeing a little bit of a flawed selection here in the NBA All-Star selection process, as of course they took away the 100% fan voting. We got some mixed results from that, as well as I believe Darren Williams, he was snubbed after in the same season where he would become a second team All-NBA point guard, and somehow they did not include him in the All-Star game back in 2008. So, and there's something that Trae Young actually has in common with Darren Williams, and that's Trae is a top 10 leader in double-doubles as a guard. And so there hasn't been a guard that has missed the NBA All-Star game that has been a top 10 in double-doubles, guard, that is, since Trae Young. And that happened to Trae Young last year, in 2023. As coming into tonight, Trae Young, he was 8th in the league in double-doubles with 28. And aforementioned just a second ago, a guard in the top 10 double-doubles hasn't missed an All-Star game since it happened to Trae back in 2023. Tyrese Halliburton, who we just saw tonight, he was top 10 in double-doubles last season. He started. And most season, that's what we see. Of course, Russell Westbrook in the 2010s, he was perennial All-Star starter. He was triple-double machine, known for triple-doubles, but he also got double-doubles often. And so he's the only other guard in the last 10 years, other than Trae Young, who has been in the top 10 in double-doubles in the league and has been snubbed in the All-Star game. In 2021, when Russell Westbrook didn't go to the All-Star game, he was playing for the Washington Wizards and playing for a team that was not very much out of the picture. The Washington Wizards rarely get rewarded All-Stars. Of course, they had John Wall, another player who was perennial top 10 in double-doubles and perennially an All-Star. It just does not make sense. So the last time this happened, before Russell Westbrook, was Steve Nash, and he was averaging 14.7 points per game. As well, that was back when Steve Nash's back problems were starting to flare up. And unfortunately, that was starting to be about the tail end of his career. Of course, the year prior for Steve Nash in 2010, after that, a little bit of a snub for Steve Nash, he was an all-star starter, averaging 16.5 points per game, being a top 10 guard in double-doubles, averaging over 10 assists a game as well that season. So it just does not make sense. Trae Young is much like Steve Nash. Of course, Trae does not have the MVPs that Steve Nash had in 2010. Steve Nash, of course, was two-time MVP when he got that All-Star nod with the numbers of 16.5 points per game. And being a top 10, one of the only guards in top 10 in double-doubles, if not the only one that year in 2010. So in the last 24 years, this has only happened to two other players, where a guard in the top 10 in double-doubles hasn't made the All-Star game. And that happened to Darren Williams, aforementioned. I believe that's when the fan voting was back around. I'm going to have to go back and look at that. But that was certainly a little bit of a flawed system, if so, as he was recognized as second-team All-NBA, as he was certainly a stalwart defensive player. He was an all-around point guard, was Darren Williams, back in the late 2010s with that Utah Jazz team, Carlos Boozer and company. There were Darren Williams. And that also happened to Darren Williams in 2009. He was top 10 in double-doubles, not selected to the NBA All-Star game. So the only other player that's happened to since the 2001-2002 season is Andre Miller, who averaged 16.5 points per game. Andre Miller is certainly a very great player, very good player there. He was playing on the Cleveland Cavaliers team, who were one of the worst teams in the league. That got the sixth pick in the draft the following year. They selected Juwan Wagner. That, of course, did not work out either. And that would eventually lead to the Cavs getting LeBron James. So back to Trae Young. He's 15th on the active leaders in assists in the NBA, which is pretty nuts, as every player ahead of him is at least 8 years older than him. Chris Paul, who has 7,894 more assists than Trae Young, has played 13 more seasons than Trae Young. So he's youngest, least amount of seasons, and highest on the NBA Assists Award. He's the number one player under 27 on the NBA active leaders of assists. I believe under 30 as well. If this math is correct, then that would mean any player under 34. That's just pretty insane. Is Trae Young's elite playmaker. Got some comparisons here to some all-time NBA legends here. And just submit, Trae Young is 46 on the active points leaderboard as well. Second behind Luka Dončić in the 2018 draft class. They are both the two youngest players in the top 47, top 46 players in draft. The only player ahead of them that's even close to their age is Devin Booker. And Devin Booker, of course, is arguably a snub as well this year. It's just hard to see with the struggles record-wise of that team. Them giving 2 All-Stars to while Devin Booker is averaging 25.7 points per game, 6.8 assists per game. Kevin Durant, he's perennial All-Star. Perennial All-Star starter. It's going to be hard to get that All-Star away from him. Unless the Suns are, really in contention there in the West and looking like a top 6 team. It'd be hard for the West to give the Suns 2 All-Star in that situation. And that's even while those averages for Devin Booker are way better than Donovan Mitchell's numbers. And he's starting for these. So a lot of confusion here and how this All-Star thing. I joke online. I say they should change it to the NBA Some Stars game. Change the name. So Trae Young, he's 7th all-time in 20 point assist games. 2020 doubles with 4. Behind Isaiah Thomas, Kevin Johnson, Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, John Stockton, and the leader of Magic Johnson, who has 13. All Hall of Famers, except for Kevin Johnson, who's a 3-time All-Star, 4-time second-team All-NBA, and he was a former mayor of Sacramento for 8 years, 2008, 2016. So, elite company there for Trae Young. Having 4 20-point, 20-assist games, he could have had it tonight. I mean, he aforementioned early in this podcast, he looked for a shot there in the second half. Jalen Johnson down to injury. The Hawks need offense. They need offensive solutions as well, and that's what Trae Young did, improvising a bit in this game and altering his game plan for the second half. Aforementioned, let's say he's like a chameleon and switching up his gameplay, adjusting to what the game needed, switching from playmaker to scorer there in the second half. So Trae was tied with was ranked 5th among guards in the fan vote in the East. We know that doesn't really mean anything for the reserves. He's tied for Russell Westbrook for 4th in the most 30-point plus 10-plus assist games in NBA history. And I believe after tonight, he is past Russell Westbrook, if my current count is correct. Trae Young now has 85 games with 30-point plus 10-plus assists. And the only players ahead of him are all NBA Hall of Famers, or will be. And that includes James Harden with 103, LeBron James with 104, and Oscar Robertson with 227 30-point plus 10-point plus assist game. Big O, Oscar Robertson, is quoted as saying, if he knew that triple-doubles were a big deal, then he would get one every night. So, 4th player in NBA history, Trae Young, with 11,000 plus points and 4,200 plus assists through his age 26 season. And he did, and significantly less minutes played than any of the other players who've done it in NBA history. That includes LeBron James. Trae Young made that 11,000 point, 4,200 assist mark in just 14,900 minutes played. The next closest player to that mark is Isaiah Thomas with 20,300 minutes played. So Trae Young, in over 5,000 less minutes played, has already made this 11,000 point, 4,200 plus assists combination of stats Other players who did that as well through the age 26 season were LeBron James, who did in 25.1 thousand minutes played, and Stephon Starberry, in just under 22.5k minutes. I wrote down his nickname wrong. Wrote down his nickname as Strawberry, and then I started thinking Daryl Strawberry, and thinking, no, it's Starberry, not Strawberry for Stephon Marbury. So Trae Young joined a short list as well of players tonight. He joined a short list of players in the history of the NBA with 1,000 points plus and 500 plus assists in each of his first NBA seasons. And the other players to have done that are Tim Hardaway, Isaiah Thomas, Norm Nixon, and Oscar Robertson. And when thinking of Trae Young, many of the aforementioned legends mentioned while identifying these stats are thought of when I think of Trae Young. He's a generational talent, an all-time great playmaker, and I believe an all-time great scorer as well. His game reminds me of Steve Nash, James Harden, Isaiah Thomas, as well as some of the throwback players such as Pete Maravich, Bob Cousy. Trae Young, he has a rare combination of elite ball handling, passing, and scoring that we seldom see. He's a generational talent. You're not going to see a Trae Young in every NBA draft. You're not going to see one in every 5 drafts. A once-in-a-generation player. The Hawks were above 500 and had a good chance as well. Can't take the winning argument and winning equation out of the Trae Young All-Star decision. As the Hawks were above 500 and had a good chance of playing their way into a seed out of the play-in tournament before the Jalen Johnson injury. It was absolutely devastating for this Hawks team. And they would have had room under the first apron as well, with a simple buyout of Cody Zeller to add a nice piece to this Atlanta Hawks team. Maybe Valanciunas, who's a nice scorer there for the Wizards at center. Just tough times as a Hawks fan. Get the injury. The punches keep coming. First injury, then they give us a snub. Our generational great talent in Trae Young. I would not knock Trae Young's field goal percentage as well. As Trae Young, he fought through a rib sprain in November. On November 4th versus Celtics in a hard-moving foul, they gave him a rib sprain, and that's an injury that we see players sit out for a couple weeks for. And instead, Trae Young played through that, and it was obvious that he was not quite right. His shooting picked up there at the end of November. And as well, I think holding Trae Young out of the NBA All-Star game has completely made a joke of the NBA Cup. His play was crucial to them winning in Madison Square Garden in the quarterfinals. It was supposed to be one of the highlights of the first half of the season. Instead, NBA just says, nope, our NBA Cup is a joke. We don't care anything about it. We don't care if you make it in the semifinal. All while Trae Young is averaging 22.5 points per game, 11.4 assists per game. No All-Star selection outright. He's tied for first in the league in clutch points with Tyrese Maxey at 86 coming in tonight. That had to have gone up, especially with that clutch 3-point shot he had in the corner and then in the Says game. I still think Trae Young gets in via injury. There's always someone who sits out every year. And sometimes the coaches who make these selections, they know a little bit better and have knowledge of the potential and knew that Trae Young would be selected anyway due to injury replacement. So it might be rage bait. And I took the rage bait because I'm absolutely not okay with it. You should have absolutely received the nod outright. So they got me. So the league is more talented in the past. Should the NBA expand the All-Star game? Should they add more players to it? Now, we're going to get into, we don't do much drama on here in this podcast, but we're going to get to one situation as it's relevant to Trae Young, relevant to this Pacers game. And so, I'm not sure what the solution is exactly to the selection and preventing snubs like this. I'm going to get to in here in a minute. There's speculation reports that there's potentially a conspiracy against Trae Young with the coaches, and then coaches voting to hold him out of the All-Star game. So before we look at that, if we kept the current system, the one thing that I would add to it without changing anything else is I would add a 13th man that's entirely decided by fan vote. Let the fans get 100% vote on the snub. I can't imagine Trae Young not getting the win in that situation with all the media hype around his snub this year. And as well, you'd probably see Devin Booker as well get his nod, as well awarded nod for. You look at the all-time active leader in points, and Devin Booker is pretty high up there. I did not write down exactly where, but for how young he is, certainly got to put respect on that. So Trae Young tonight, he faced the Pacers, and of course, with Rick Carlisle on that bench, the coaching bench for the Indiana Pacers, is former Atlanta Hawks coach Lloyd Pierce, which Trae Young and Lloyd Pierce were reportedly at odds and fighting during their time together on the Hawks. It was reported and speculated that Lloyd Pierce in 2021, after being fired on March 1st of that year, prior to the All-Star game, which was late that year due to the bubble year and all that, they started the 2020 to 2021 season late in December and had the All-Star game on March 9th. Lloyd Pierce supposedly held a Zoom call with Steve Nash and other NBA coaches asking them not to vote for Trae Young. Due to grudges, disagreements, all that, Trae Young, he can talk the illest it. So Trae Young might have said something that got under Lloyd Pierce's skin. And that just seems immature. No other way to put it. So Lloyd Pierce, he might be a great NBA coach one day. He's still young. It seems like has a lot of potential. Very sharp guy. The Atlanta Hawks, though, he absolutely stunk when he was with the Atlanta Hawks as a head coach. And that reflected in the Hawks going 13-5 right after he got fired there in 2021. As they went 13-5 under Nate McMillan and were nearly in the NBA Finals there, going to the Eastern Conference Finals. The highlight of this Atlanta Hawks team of this early millennium so far, of the century, of the 2000s, came from the firing of Lloyd Pierce and replacement with Nate McMillan. So whatever Trae said to Lloyd Pierce, I can't imagine it being anything that would give Lloyd Pierce the excuse to act immature and conspire to have words withheld from Trae Young due to a grudge. Hopefully that's not the case. If that happened in previous years, hopefully that's not the case anymore. If it is, it's an absolute travesty. Of course, in 2023, aforementioned, Trae Young was top 10 in double-doubles, snubbed that year as well. Grown people, we put aside personal differences and recognize greatness. And if you can't do that, then you're not grown. As well, grown people have the ability to forgive others. Trae Young was 22 at that time. Needs to be recognized that Trae Young is a much different man. As well, he's more mature today than he was in 2021. So coming up this week, the Atlanta Hawks are coming back home. Spurs Hawks Wednesday night, State Farm Arena. Hawks Pistons Monday night. We're gonna have some more monster episodes, some more BOS Sports podcasts. I'll try to think up more topics to talk about. We'll of course have the NBA trade deadline. NBA trade deadline is February 6th, Thursday at 3 p.m. I have a lot of news. We'll see if Clint Capella's moved. He's rumored Lakers, Spurs, all these places. I talked about Grizzlies. He'd be a nice fit there. Marcus Smart would be a large contract take back. talking about potentially sending Clint to the Lakers, or Clint to the Spurs, or some kind of combination of which, and Bogdanovich as well, mentioned for those teams, trying to get draft capital. We want to get, as well, the Kings are involved. It'd be nice to somehow get the Atlanta Hawks 2025 first-round draft pick. Take two nice players in the draft, like Asa Newell, Senge, Ryan Kalkbrenner. JT Toppin is in the draft. We saw his brother tonight. So we'll have current updates, all that Monday night after Hawks Pistons. Thanks for listening to this episode of the BOS Sports Podcast, watching. Be sure to stream previous episodes of the BOS Sports Podcast, stream Bar Soap music on Spotify, and we'll see you Monday night after Monday's game. What's up, everybody? It's Clark here for the BOS Sports Podcast, interrupting this Atlanta Hawks Pacers post-game coverage with breaking news broke by ESPN senior insider Shams Charania that the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Dončić to Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis. Holy cow, this is the biggest trade in any sport in the decade already, outdoing the Anthony Davis trade from just a half a decade ago. People are wondering what the heck is going on. Mark Cuban, of course, is out, the owner of the Mavericks, so he no longer is interested in keeping Luka Dončić. The Mavericks might be thinking of going different directions. As well in the deal, Max Kleber, Markieff Morris were also included in the deal. Max Christie, he goes to the Mavericks along with the 2029 first-round pick. The Mavericks, they have their 2025 first-round pick, their 2026 first-round pick. As well, the Los Angeles Lakers, they now don't have a center, and it'll be very interesting to see what they do going forward. Likely, we're going to see other pieces move for Los Angeles Lakers. Could see players like Austin Reeves traded. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Ingram or Jimmy Butler join this Los Angeles team. And between now and the trade deadline, we see another major piece. De'Aaron Fox could be in play now for the Los Angeles Lakers. We already know they've been in contact with our Atlanta Hawks about Clint Capella, Bogdanovich, and others. For the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving, he's on a player option. He might be gone after this season. The Anthony Davis, his contract, this was a player option this year, and he's got 2 more years on his contract and a player option 2027-2028. So the Mavericks, they get back a marquee player who they can build around, of course, with that 2025 draft pick. And just having Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis right now, they can make a nice run in the playoffs. Oh, shock for words. Absolutely shocked. LeBron James, he's been quoted as saying recent years, last season, that he doesn't have much time left. And he must have felt like now's the time. Now's the time that he has to go and make a move. Now, I do see, if Bronny James was not on the Los Angeles Lakers, I could see the potential of LeBron James being traded. But since Bronny James is on the Lakers, I'm thinking that's unlikely. Of course, there's a famous quote by Stephen A. Smith in his show the other day that, it's Bronny should be kept in the G League or whatnot, is what he's saying. Maybe LeBron's giving up and moving on from Bronny for now. Letting Bronny go to the G League and develop. Maybe he's going to a new team. I think the more likely scenario, we see more pieces. Maybe Rui Hachimura, maybe Austin Reeves, maybe Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent. You look at anybody in this rotation, they could potentially be in play for Los Angeles Lakers. As well, the Los Angeles Lakers have, in future draft picks and upcoming draft capital, They own their second round pick, the Atlanta Hawks. They have the Lakers 2025 first round pick. The Lakers then have a 2026 first round pick, a 2028 first round pick, another 2025 second round pick from the Clippers from across town. The Clippers, they just made a trade today too. They got a pick back. They didn't have any picks until 2030. They made a trade and got a second round pick and freed up some cap space as well. Unloaded PJ Tucker. But this is just an absolute monster trade. Again, Luka Dončić has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis in a 3-team deal that includes Utah. We'll wait to hear updates from Shams and the rest of the NBA Insider crew on the details of this NBA blockbuster, monstrous, largest trade in sports, and longest memory I can remember. Maybe I'd put Luka Dončić above the Russell Westbrook trade, above the Anthony Davis trade. This is Clark here for BOS Sports, breaking in for the Hawks Pacers post-game coverage with this monstrous news. I'll see you again Monday night after my latest podcast episode.